2, 1, whenever you're ready, take your sweet time.
So it's already happening.
I feel really safe and secure right now.
Great. Okay, well, welcome. Honestly, I said to Reef the other day, I said, can I just change my podcast back to my old title? Because the guy who stole my podcast the first time just signed to the Unwell Network, like Alex Cooper's thing.
Really?
Yeah, bro. And it changed the name of his podcast. So I'm like, can I have mine back?
So what was it?
It was called Tap In. But he like literally used my logo, like the same font, the same thing, everything. But I have an intro for that, whereas I don't have an intro for Just Sayin podcast.
Just saying.
So we might run it back. I don't know. But today I have Lily Jane Brown, my neighbor,
Hi.
turned friend on the pod today. She is an artist in Philadelphia, and she's also a fellow woo-woo girl in a lot of ways. So I decided today that she would come on, and this is her first podcast ever. And apparently she doesn't feel safe.
No, the reason I said yes, actually, is because I told you about my human design stuff that I read into.
Yes.
And I'm a projector, and I'm supposed to accept invitations. And when you asked me to, I was like, I've told you before, like, I've always wanted, I could have seen myself in another life doing a podcast. I'm so insecure sometimes. And then I have someone I love so much ask me to do their podcast. I'm like, this feels like I can't
And
not.
you know me, I'm like, who cares?
Yeah. I'm like, I can't not. So,
and if
I accepted the invitation.
So now she's here. And so we're going to talk about, she's like, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, we'd be talking about a lot of things when we're not on mics. But today I was like, okay, at least we could talk about just like being an artist.
Yeah.
And creative, period. And then also you have all of the human design knowledge, which...
Not all of it, a little bit.
A lot.
I got a bunch of weird knowledge on a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah, perfect. That's literally what this podcast is for. I love it. And so, well, you know a lot more human design than I do.
Yeah.
For my birthday, Lily's like, can I do your chart? I'm like, please. Remember we like thought I was the wrong thing for a second? Like we
had the wrong birth year in it.
I was like, I was like, started questioning my whole existence. I was like, are you sure?
Yeah, that would have been bad.
But no. So what are you? You're a projector.
I'm a projector. A 4/6 splenic projector.
Okay, so can you explain what human design is?
I can do my best.
That's
mostly
all you can do here.
Because I do not want to false advertise. But I heard about it for the first time like a year ago from this dude that I was seeing. Because he was all like jazzed about being a manifesting generator. And I was like, okay, buddy. Hats off to you. But then he found out that I'm a projector, and those are a bit more rare. So obviously I was on board because I'm an Aries, and anything that's like, you're special. I'm like, yes, I am. Of course, that makes sense. Now I'm going to invest all my personality in this.
It's just like the stamp of approval for your personality.
Exactly.
You know, and you're like, makes sense.
Yes. So I start reading more about being a projector, and it actually was starting to land, but it wasn't that much a year ago. It's like it was kind of fitting into place as well. Like the first thing about being a projector is like we need to be invited into a situation. We need to be like appreciated for whatever our special uniqueness is. Someone needs to be like, oh, I want Lily. Like Lily could do this better than someone else because of X, Y, and Z. And being asked that feels really good to me. That makes me feel successful if it's the right situation. And otherwise, if I feel like I'm interjecting myself into situations where I haven't been invited, I wind up feeling bitter or uncomfortable. There's times where I want to be involved in something, but if I'm not invited, then I'm just like questioning if I should be there the whole time.
Right.
So,
me, I'm like, hey,
yeah,
can I go?
No, I'm just like, I'm in the wrong house. Like,
Right.
I can't. I gotta go. But I always used to think, like, I used to hate myself for it. Because I'd be like, Lily, like, get your security up. Like, let's go. Like, this is out. But then I think when it was explained to me like that, and it was just like a way to be like, no, like, this is just part of who you are, and there's nothing wrong with it, and there's actually ways to navigate it that don't make you feel like you're not in control of your life. So
I feel like human design and astrology, if you take everything with a grain of salt, it kind of helps you have compassion for yourself for some things.
Totally.
And you are then able to be like, oh, like you're able to identify it. So you're kind of able to like aid it in a sense.
exactly. Yeah. And human design is basically astrology just on steroids.
Right.
So the more I read about it, like there's just like all these different gates and channels and all of these different things. Like I have a very defined head, and it makes sense for me because I'm constantly getting stuck up in my head, and it's so hard for me to drop down into my body and like all of these different things. And I have a very undefined, there's so much to unpack with it, but it has helped me. Like this, for instance, if somebody would have asked me to do this maybe even a couple months ago, I'd been like, oh, I can't do that. I'm going to be humiliated. I'm going to humiliate myself. Like, I just can't.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, no, like, this is the universe giving me an opportunity by someone I love
Right.
to see a new part of myself that I would never let myself do.
Right.
And, like, that's a yes.
Yeah.
So,
You're like, duh.
yeah, that was, like, my process this morning. I was like, oh, part of me actually, like, I don't know. Like,
I know. She was like quiet. I'm like, I mean, we can just also not put it out.
Right.
You know me, I got options. I'm like, well, these are
and
the
if I
things
have
that can
time to
happen.
think about it,
Right.
like, then I'm like, I'll always talk myself out of something. But
Right.
if I'm just like, okay.
Yeah,
then-
it's just like, whatever.
So that's how we got here.
Just trying.
Yep. That's how we got here.
And so, okay, Lily lives in the same building as I do. I'm like the child in the building. So, like, everyone.
But I'm just like only the big sister. Like, I'm still a child.
like, she's like legit like 2 years older than me. Maybe 3, but it's everyone knows like there's like dinosaurs in my apartment, and I'm not leaving the apartment, and I'm just like playing, and I'm here on like charity in a sense. Not charity, but like I'm just the baby. Like,
See,
it's just
but
like, oh,
to give
that's
a
her.
reflection, like when I first met Mara, I was just like, this girl has her shit like together. No, seriously, like not in the like stereotypical way that like people would define like maybe not a non-woo-woo person or like whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm like,
but
any logical person looks at me and they're like, are you okay? Blink if you need help. I'm like,
no, like just like so genuine, so sincere in like your positivity, because there's so much unsincere positivity going around. I don't know, like where
No,
you just
I
like can
feel that.
feel it, and you're just like, oh, like this doesn't feel like it's coming from an aligned place, like
Right.
or something like that. But like with you, it was always just like it felt like it was always inviting me to be like, no, I can get on this tip more.
Lily would be like,
Because
hi. I'm
I
like,
believe you in it. You know what I mean? Like you live in this shit. Like not to say that you don't have bad days.
right. Well, so basically, Lily, she also said she's an Aries. So I'm a water sign. I'm a Pisces. She's an Aries, fire. And so like the energy when I was trying to befriend her was like,
I was just like, I could not.
Yeah.
I don't know what. It takes me a minute. I'm like,
but this is like
crazy.
Exactly. No, but this is like an ongoing thing for me, like, because I'm
also,
like persistent.
why would she want to be friends with me? Like, I'm weird as fuck.
I'm like, you have no idea. But it's just hilarious because that's like a recurring thing in my life where like, no, it's not like a no, it's just like an indifferent. Like you have friends, like you don't need another friend, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's just like also like old stuff from like being younger of just like, oh, we like present so differently or something like that. Why would she want to,
Right.
you know what I
right.
mean? I think I had my own insecurities or whatever of just being
Well,
like,
and
oh,
we
like,
do. We are so different in the sense like.
but it worked.
Right. And well, it's hilarious. Like the other day, she had a friend over and he had a mullet, and I was like,
She thought he was straight.
I was
Homeless.
like, I was like, he was sitting outside our house, and I'm like, oh, like, are people just sitting on our like at our table like off the street? And then I was like, he has a mullet. That's probably her friend. And then later I came back and she's out there with
Actually,
him, and I'm
she's
like,
probably sleeping with him.
didn't say that, but But I was like, yo, he had a mullet and it made sense. And then the next day we're on our way to the gym and I was like, yeah, like mine would be like probably like a rapper and then yours looked vintage.
Which is a nice way to put it.
It was like,
I'm just saying he's not very handsome.
He
but
is. It's like, not like a hipster vibe, but it's like, remember that's like the same way that I was like, Lily, do you eat meat?
Yeah.
And you were like, what? Like, yeah, obviously I eat meat. I was like, her vibe is like organic, like vegan, like I don't know. So when I was learning, whatever. But yeah, I'm persistent and this is a thing. Like I have like multiple
And
girlfriends who are like, this bitch is
so
annoying.
much.
And then once you hit the threshold,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh fuck yeah. And I'm like,
And it never
wasn't
even
bad.
it never felt forced. It never felt anything. I was just like, this is my bitch.
and now we just go lay in the grass with Zeus all the time. And
It's perfect.
that is also another, like we were talking about the one day, like how do you make friends as an adult?
Yeah.
And I think another helpful thing is a dog.
Well, that's how I've actually, you and my other best friend, Sarah, when I first met her, this was like 3 years ago, it was because of her dog, Tito.
Yeah.
And because I saw the dog and I couldn't not.
You're like, I need to pet your dog.
Yeah, and also she like looked so cool and she had this cute dog. And like it was the first time I was like, I literally interjected myself and I was like, we need to make this work. Because I need to be in this dog's life and I wouldn't mind being in your life too.
We need to make this work.
And she like lived across the street from me. She like just moved in and now she actually moved around the corner from me. That's
Oh, you were
but
walking
we
her dog?
originally were neighbors at the last spot that I lived, and then she wound up moving around
Right
the corner
around there.
from here too.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we live in the best spot ever also.
Yeah,
Like we live in Port Richmond and we're both plant moms. Lily actually is a better plant mom than I am, but I have more plants. So it looks like I'm a better plant mom, but really she has to come fix them sometimes. A lot of times, all of
you to
them.
let them go.
Yeah. Which that could be a good thing we could talk about on this podcast too, because
Yeah.
that was crazy. Like how the plants read the room in a sense.
Well, I think it's also what stuck with me about when your one friend coming in and just be like, Mara, like you're putting in so much effort to keep this one plant going, and like what's going on behind that? Like,
Yes.
why we might need to let this plant go.
What I didn't though.
No,
But
I'm looking at it right now.
Cut the shit out of this plant, but now it has like 50 new leaves.
Yeah, no, I mean, you didn't give up, but there's ones where it's like, and that's the process of like, which ones do we give up on? Which ones?
Right, like that one we're gonna give up on.
Maybe.
Okay. Well,
Maybe, but that one we might be able to actually transplant. Like, I think it might need to come out of that dirt.
it needs to come out.
I think, but we could get the roots out and actually repot it.
I think so too. But it is interesting, like how the plants, they be knowing things. Because sometimes when I'm having a mental breakdown, I don't like to leave my apartment, so I'll just call downstairs and be like, hi, can you please come up here? Like,
And it's perfect because I'm the same way. The only reason I keep my other two best friends
it's because they're around the corner.
is because they're around the corner, and I know it can be like a 20-minute pop in, and then I can come back home. Like, I'm such
a homebody.
a homebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that is nice having that availability. But I feel like when you first came up here, I think I used the plants to bring you up here the first time in general.
She was like, I have candy upstairs. I have plants. And I was like, okay. I'll come.
I'm like, no, there's an infestation in my house and I need serious help right now. But
Which we still need to figure it out.
I know a little bit, yeah. But it is interesting because they read the room and like I've been making like mental health steps, new steps.
And it's been showing.
And it's literally
in the plants.
showing. It's so crazy. They're all getting new leaves. And then I'm a manifesting generator. She's the projector. Whatever. We live across the street from a plant factory. This is some more woo-woo shit. Like, this is more proof that God did.
That God exists.
God did, okay? Because we live across the street from this plant factory that throws plants out at least once a month.
Perfectly good plants.
Beyond perfectly good
They're not
plants.
good enough for Comcast. They're good enough for us.
They're beyond better, good for me. And they're free 99. And this one I looked up, it was like $12,000, it says online, which I should probably sell that plant because
I saw that plant.
I'm a little
Or at
late.
least the one downstairs, you got 3.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, and this one even is like a really expensive one too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I sold.
Yeah.
We're just talking about
We're hustling
getting
plants.
the plants.
We're
across the street.
Listen, like
broke
bibbidi bobbidi boo, but like not even. We're magicians.
Yes.
Like,
We're
fuck a
magicians.
broke artist.
Yes.
Depends on what art we're talking
I have
about.
been trying to manifest them coming out, and I have not been seeing any new plants out there.
Oh, they'll come. Don't you worry. And you got to get out there early in the morning. Dude, there's been times where I'll be standing up here.
You have the fucking.
I'll see them put the plant out.
She has the windows to like spy on the whole fucking neighborhood.
Yes. And I have seen them put a plant out, and I literally will be like, oh, period. Immediately go downstairs. Go across the street. The plant's gone, bro.
We need to get, you know what we need to do?
Binoculars.
Like okay, sure. But also, we need to get one of those strings that we can send down there, and when they put something out,
Dude.
they
Yes.
wiggle it, and then something wiggles here.
And it needs to actually also be able to dolly up.
Like a pulley system.
Yes.
Yes. And we need a walkie-talkie so you can be like 10-4 down
Yes.
where I am.
Yes. It's also good that she's my neighbor, because if I have pop-up shops, I need someone else to
Yes.
carry shit. There's just a lot of
It's
things
perfect. It's good.
that work out.
It's very good.
But the one day we were talking in the thing, and we were also just saying it now, we just had a really good conversation naturally before we started
I know,
the podcast.
we were like, we just did the podcast.
Classic. But we were talking about like back to making friends as adults, and I think that you can DM people and be their friend. But
Well,
I also
I mean,
think that's the annoying energy that pisses people off about me at the same time.
I think the people that it pisses off are the people that are like
That's fine. Like, you don't-
detrimentally insecure and don't even know it. Like that would have probably pissed me off a couple years ago.
like, why does she want to be my friend? Like,
Just
what?
like
You look lit.
no, not even that, but just like somebody who's just like, you know, the positivity that you have, like
Oh.
or just like, you know, you like being like, yeah, I'm gonna reach out to them. I want to. Like there's
Right.
probably like an insecure shadow self part of me 3 years ago that would have been like,
Get fucked.
get fucked. But it's like, I was a sad girl back then.
I
I'm
know.
happy.
I
Not
feel
to say
that.
that I'm like perfect now, but
Well, dude, that's like
see
a
that
real
that's
thing
my
though,
own
too.
shit. That's completely my own stuff. And now when I hear it out of other people's mouths, I don't say anything about it, but I'm just like, noted.
Dude, noted. That's like at my last job, my one manager would be like, Miss Positive or Miss Positivity.
I've been like, you sad.
I'm like, yo, why are you mad that I like to be excited and happy? Like,
What's your deal?
I have some shit I could cry about, and I probably will.
I could right now.
I have. There have been times where I'd be at work just crying, but like moving through as if I wasn't
Yeah.
crying. Everyone's like, are you okay? I'm like, yep. Crying.
That might be a different.
They're like, are you good? I'm like, uh-huh. Just not well. Miss Positivity. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking trying.
Yeah,
Literally. But that is a real thing, I think. People just don't like that.
it is.
But it's like, it just is better. It feels better.
By saying that, like saying like that probably would have been me a couple of years ago. It's like I don't hate on them. Like
No, it's like
I know
part of the
they're
process.
where they are in their journey, in their process, whatever.
Exactly.
And it's like would I know? No, I wouldn't have hated me 3 years ago. I was in wild amount of sadness and pain or whatever.
Right,
and it's
right.
like I had to go through that, judge other people, feel bad about it, and get to wherever I am now with it. So it's like when I hear other people do it, I'm just like, that's where you are.
Oh, okay.
Okay. How does it feel? Does it feel good?
Right.
That's
That's
name
what,
Earl.
yeah.
You know
This
I have
one's-
an Earl tattoo, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, because I love Earl Nightingale.
I don't even know who that is.
He wrote The Strangest Secret, and that's where I got the whole like concept of like create over compete.
Really?
Like, yeah, the shirt that I wear, and I have it tattooed too, but it says like create over compete because he's like, he was like one of the first broadcasters to ever record a broadcast and like sell it, kind of like a self-help tape.
Yeah.
And he was like a broadcaster from the 50s, and he had this one called The Strangest Secret, and he like talks about people are always trying to conform to be like other people. So like you're copying someone and you're assuming that they're intentionally creating their life, but like half the time those people aren't.
So they're probably copying somebody else, and it's like
you trying to like keep up with the Joneses in a sense. And it's like, that's where you like fuck yourself up. Like you don't have to compete, you just have to create.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy fucks.
Yeah.
He gets it.
He fucks.
He fucks. And so, yeah, that's just my shit. And so I try to name all the plants after things that like I want to water.
I didn't know that.
Or like, yeah, like some of them are named
Are
after.
you kidding? I'm
Like-
stealing
Like
that.
that one's named Mo Money, and that one's my mom. So like I water my mom. Yeah.
I'm actually, this isn't a faux mind blown moment. Are you kidding?
No, and it's scary though, because if a plant dies and it's named after one of my friends, I'm like literally that one that I just chopped, that was the guy that I dated all last summer.
But thank God.
Love him, but over there, but yeah, no, I have to like restart and get that plant died.
But it's like, and it doesn't even need to be this
It's just like-
negative.
no, it's
bad
just like
thing.
that
it's like
plant-
whether it's like winds up that being like a burnt phoenix or something like that needed to be burned down to come back up, or it needed to go. Like either way, it's not about any specific person. It's about or wherever you're at with their relationship inside of yourself. Like it's not like,
exactly.
oh, this.
I'm not saying like he's gonna die. I'm just saying like it's just interesting.
These are all voodoo plants, and if she kills them, you're dead. Don't be in her life.
Oh yeah, she named her plants and pesticides them on purpose.
Sprays them with alcohol. He's fine. He's fine.
Do that.
He's fine. He's not
Well, no,
fine.
that one was so infested, bro. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. No, yesterday I cut them up. I'm propagating them. They're gonna rebirth something else.
Okay.
New plants. But yeah.
We're gonna try repotting that one.
Yes, multiples.
Yeah. But I think I want to do that.
Yeah, that's like what I used to do in LA too. Like they were all named after people back here.
Maybe I won't do people, but maybe like.
But like some of them say like that one's named Lady, and like that is like me watering like my ladiness. Like my girly girl thing, you know? And then like there's one over here, it's called Reach, and it's like my reach.
Yeah.
Like
now I'm just trying to think of mine.
like y'all.
Manifest Mandy.
Yeah, you can name them like legit, and they have at the dollar store they have nameplates.
All right. This is what I'm gonna do next week since I'm off work.
We have to
My job, naming my plants.
We have to make
This is gonna be $1, $2,
$3. Should I name one of them Rent? Oh my god!
yes.
Yeah, well, first I'll name her
get
Rent
that.
because we're behind, but then I'll name her Ownership.
Be like
Homeowner.
April rent. I'm dying.
Oh my god! All right, I'm trying to think of what else. Okay, so what else can we talk about? I was thinking before we started when we were talking about like the scale of realisticness versus delusion.
Yes.
Like I thought that was a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, I have. And another thing I was thinking about was, remember, did I tell you the other day how Reef and I were talking about like when your family is trying to bring you up and they're like, oh, like we're a family of sunflowers, like we know how to make sunflowers, and it's like they don't know that you're like a lily. Did I tell you about this? Like,
No,
how
I don't think so.
Okay, so we were like saying the one day, like our families have done their best to like bring us up the best way that they know how. Sometimes you're just a different type of flower. So they know how to like raise sunflowers, and that means that you need this amount of water and this amount of sunlight and like da 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 da.
Yeah.
But really, like you could just be a different type of flower. So like they're trying to raise you like a sunflower, but you like actually need shade and less water, or like, you know what I'm saying?
I feel like it's like happening happens inevitably unless you have like highly attuned, healed parents. Like it's just like it's such a
Which I'm coming to learn. I don't think that really anyone does.
well, I mean, I think it's few and far between. Yeah, especially our generation. I feel like millennials, so many of our parents were either immigrants or boomers or living in a completely different time period than us. And I don't know, I have like a lot of hope for millennial parents, honestly.
Like our generation as parents.
I do.
No, I agree. I think they're going to be lit.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I think that's totally a thing. It's just like they were raised a certain way, and then it's like, oh, maybe this is working for the older sibling, and it's not working for the younger sibling. And instead of being like, oh, they need a different parenting technique, they're like, oh,
like, why isn't this recipe working?
This one's different. And, and then it winds up, can like really negatively impact the kid, because then they're like, what's wrong with me? Why isn't this working for me?
Right.
Or, I mean, it goes in so many different directions.
Well, it could, yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's like another thing that you and I have connected on is like right now I feel like we're both in very much like healing phases.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And like I think a lot of it is like I'm realizing personally, a lot of it is childhood stuff. Like,
yeah.
And yeah, it's just crazy because like you just ignore this shit because you were a kid. Like you're like, oh, I was a kid. Da, 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 da. And then, but like you've used like therapy. And would you say like yoga is like a way for you to like work through things or like?
I mean, it's been a mixture of therapy, yoga for sure, like kind of like I've done like different like somatic kind of modalities of therapy, which are more like going into the body, like where do you feel that?
Right.
Let's stay there. Like, and because I've done years and years and years of talk therapy, and I found I need so many different things. Like I've only recently started to, I feel like, heal that stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that I'd say if you have the means to explore doing plant medicine,
right, plant,
get
sure.
it.
Yeah. I feel like that's also going to be something that's like more and more prescribed, even.
Yeah,
in a
prevalent.
way.
Like I think it's just a matter of having good holistic facilitators with integrity. And yeah, I think there's so many different modalities to heal yourself.
How did you find your match that you felt safe to do plant medicine with?
I mean, I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. I knew that I was like on a cycle of just being okay, getting on SSRIs, being even keeled, okay, really wanting to get off of them, like just like feeling like I don't understand why, but I just feel like I'm called to not
beyond them.
Yeah. And like I really want to get beyond this, and I was getting off them. I was having a really fucking hard time, really bad, like just intense emotions, anxiety, and anger. And I got hooked up with this woman. I'm going to leave her name out, but she was like, I was told that she worked with different medicines and stuff like that, and I just knew that I needed help. I feel like I got sent her by the universe. Like I did not know what I was getting involved with, and not to say she's not
right. She has like the plant medicine,
which is just optional. If like that feels like that's where we want to take it. I knew it was on the table, but it was never something where like this is where we're going with it. Right. And slowly, as I started working with her and like working with these different medicines, it just allows you to get out of such a clear-cut way of living inside of your own head.
Right.
Like people
well, like I feel like it like presents you different new options that you didn't even know like existed.
It presents you new options that already exist inside of you, which is the most beautiful thing. It's not like it's making stuff up. It's not like it's helping you.
It's just like, hey, this is available. Like it's shining lights on things to be like, if you want that in the corner, it's there.
More clearly, they don't feel like it shines a light on options when it feels like there's just been like a spotlight on one way of doing something for your whole life. And sometimes it worked for some things, but probably 90% of the stuff that what you're doing is not working.
Well, it's like, and you've been working it.
Yeah.
So it would have worked.
Yeah, it's overworked. And it's like, that's your only... So...
Because I feel like even just in the few months that I've known you, you have been making moves that I don't think, I mean, I haven't known you that long, but from what you've told me.
That I would have never thought I'd be making.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like the okayism of it. Okay, and just like openness.
Yeah.
And like acceptance.
Yeah.
Vibe, if that makes sense. Like not okay, like I'll take what I can get. It's like not like that. It's the okay as in trusting. Like a knowing.
Yeah, trusting that the universe has got me.
Yeah, and like that your process is like unfolding.
But I think coming back to like the childhood trauma stuff or stuff like that, I think for years I thought I had that shit on lock. I was like, I know what happened, why, I know how it affected me, I know this, I know that, and I could intellectualize the crap out of my past. And then I got to a phase where I'm like, that's not me anymore. I don't agree with, like, that's not who I am. I'm not gonna do this anymore. But we were just talking about earlier, until I got to the place past both of those spots of, one, I don't identify with it, two, I like screw my parents or whatever, you know, like both of those, which are very reasonable, valid points of healing and probably necessary.
Right.
But moving even past that to, I'm not mad, but I do need to feel what I've been avoiding for 25 years.
Right.
Like, because I think that I'm past it because my brain's not actively thinking about it, but it is all stored in your body. And it's like these reactions.
Yes, seriously, it is, exactly.
Yeah, and these reactions where you're just like, I don't know why I'm so overwhelmed by this, or I don't know why I'm so scared right now, or I don't know. Those are all parts of like these pieces of you being like,
see us,
hold
feel
us,
let us go.
Like, there's work to be done here, and it's not about regressing.
Right.
It's actually about releasing.
Yes, that's like what I'm going through right now. This is how we were just talking about this before we started, because like she's saying, like, oh, I'm such like a positive person, all of these things. It's like right now I'm going through it, but it's like childhood stuff coming up that I'm just like, I thought that this was done. Like, I thought I'd been good off this. Like, I don't care. Like me today, I don't care. But we're not talking about me today. It's like the old stuff
or
that's
like
stuck
parts of
in
you
my
really
body.
Don't.
Yeah.
There's parts of you that do.
Right. Which is so crazy. But like also, I feel like the somatic stuff is something that's like really, in a sense, booming right now.
Yeah.
Or like it's becoming like more mainstream in a sense. And like, I feel like anything I see online that's like somatic this or somatic that, it's a lot of people laying on the floor and like shaking, or like like it looks like scary.
And it's
almost.
also like, and at the end, you can cry and lose 10 pounds.
Oh yeah. Why?
And it's like what's a shame is like,
why are we
it's not true though. Like, I do believe that body does keep the score. I do believe that when you hold certain things, it can affect your body in certain ways, and weight could very well be one of it.
Yeah.
But to combine those things and like negate all of it's just a very weird, like they're just taking this really serious practice and like rolling it into a ball and trying to sell it to you.
Yeah, like here.
Yeah. Because it's not true. Like in yoga, you can have things where it's like, say you're getting into half pigeon pose and it's like a huge hip opener. There's a lot of times that uncomfortable emotions come up. Like, and people are like, oh, I'm going to, think this bad thing about my dad or something. Like, it's not like, it's like feeling a feeling, not knowing how to articulate it. No, it makes you really uncomfortable. And like some people would back out of that pose and be like, oh, like that felt weird. But instead,
like breathe through it.
And also just being curious, like, like this weird, uncomfortable feelings associated with this weird pain I have in my lower hip. And like, how beautiful and weird and uncomfortable. And what if I just stay with it for a little bit and like maybe come back to it every other day and like let it show up.
Right.
And
I know that's
not
like,
without expectation of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you're just like, I just know that is uncomfortable.
Yeah, you don't need to do anything with it or like be like, what do you want? You know? Like,
that would be me. Hello.
Right. Which I've done before.
Use your words.
Tell me, like, okay, I'm in the position. It doesn't feel good. Like, what do you want? But it's like, it just wants you to be in dialogue with it.
Right.
It's not about.
Right. That's like yesterday.
Something.
In hypnotherapy, like, it was a lot of like, okay, ask it whatever was like in question.
And sometimes it will answer too.
Yeah, no, it will.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You just never asked.
Answer you,
which is like crazy to think about, and it's like also just cool because it's like, okay, there's so many like ways to explore healing.
Exactly.
So that's like one of the that's why I'm asking. And also I don't want to be like, oh, she does plant medicine if you don't want to talk about doing plant medicine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
But
it's one
it
of
is
the,
a
it's more
thing.
like I'm just like I need to make sure I don't like out.
Yeah, 1,000%. No, and
But
just
no,
like,
I'm a huge advocate for
Yeah.
all of it.
well, I mean, you already know. Like, all I want to do is make mushrooms and give it to people and be like, right, right.
Yeah.
Like, did you like that? Because that was fire, right? But I'm like a microdose girly. Like, I feel like I love taking it and I'll just be giggling and like, wow, everything's so pretty. It's just like,
Mine just goes dark. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
you're like, this is a fucking shit show in here.
And it didn't used to be that way, but I think it's like I'm at the point in my healing journey where it's like any invitation for my soul to be like, let's dig up more stuff to heal, like it just goes there. And so, yeah, I don't even know if I'd be ready to take anything like recreationally like that.
Oh yeah,
for a
you've said that
minute.
before. Yeah. Well, and I've never taken it with, but like it's funny because people like I always take it with intention, but I never took it with a facilitator, I should say.
Right.
I do know people that are like, I'm so fucked up off mushrooms. Like, you can't get fucked up off mushrooms. Like,
You can get fucked up.
I know, but I'm like, that's why, because you wanted to get fucked up off
See, but
mushrooms.
I think it's also a really good like indicator of where you're at though. Because
No,
it's like
1,000%.
Because you can't hide from yourself. If you really had something that you like was like on the docket, your body, your soul, whatever, is like, yo, you are not in alignment with yourself right now. Like those mushrooms would not let that shit slide.
True.
Like really, I really thoroughly believe that. Like
That is true.
you would be getting shown. Like they are. They show you.
Well-
They show you yourself.
Well, it's actually funny that you say that because they'll show you something like
Yeah.
every time. And
it's
like,
a part of you.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever been to Ricketts Glen?
Yes.
Like where there's like the 21 waterfalls?
No.
It's like up,
But I have been to Ricketts Glen, but not in a long time.
it's like really up north and there's like 21 waterfalls there. I think it's like an 8 or 9 mile hike, whatever. I love to do mushrooms there. So like when I'm going in, I'll like take them when I'm like 10 minutes away from the parking lot and then I'll get like myself out of the car, go to the
Perfect
bathroom.
timing.
By the time I
We're
get to the
there,
trail,
I'm peeking.
I'm getting a little giggly. I'm like, doo-doo-doo. And then I'll go in there. But like anytime that I have a friend that's never done mushrooms and they're like, Mara, I want to do mushrooms like with you for my first time, I'm like, Ricketts Glen.
And you are the perfect. You would actually probably be an amazing mushroom facilitator.
That's like a dream of mine just in this, like we've talked about,
Yeah.
like, you know, owning a warehouse and just doing literally a adult clubhouse, basically doing whatever the fuck we wanted in there. Mushrooms would definitely be on the list. But the one time me and my girlfriend went, it was her first time, and she was like literally like fingering the moss like on the,
where are we
the side
going
of
with
the
this?
walls, and I'm like, are you good? And she's like, I just don't know if they're working. I'm like, you're
They're
fingering
working.
a moss wall. They're working. And then she was like, okay. But it was like this time of year, like 2 years ago, and you're up north, so I didn't
I think
like.
I would do mushrooms with you.
Oh, fuck!
And
It was
that's
so
that's
fun.
a high. I like. There's not.
Bruh, we got lost in the woods
But
on
I would be fine
mushrooms.
being lost with you.
No, yeah, it was great, and we just kept going. Only way out is through. Only way out is through.
Fuck.
When I tell you, it was freezing. I went in biker shorts and like a Fairy Garden windbreaker, and there was snow. There was snow at the top of this mountain, and I'm in biker shorts and a windbreaker.
Only way out is through.
Feet soaking wet in snow, soaking wet in melting snow, lost off the trail. We were up there for like 7 hours. We ended up logging like 8.5 hours. We were not on the trail for a majority of the thing, and literally like luckily it was my girlfriend. I'm not even gonna say her name, but one of my girlfriends who she's like she'll just catch the vibe and keep the vibe.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And she's like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
And then it was.
And then it was. Yeah. And we literally got back down to the thing. We went to like the sheets, got a fuck ton of snacks. We were like, damn, we almost died. Like, it was getting really dark out. Like, really should not.
Straight Blair Witch Project.
It was bad, but it was fine. And it was because of the mushrooms. Like the mushrooms, we could not feel. My legs were the same color as my hair. And I was unbothered. I'm just like, only way out is through. And she's like, only way out is through. I'm like, mushrooms are fire.
They are fire.
That's like a dream, like a bus trip to Ricketts Glen, but like we all just eat mushrooms on our way.
Yeah. And then like the bus is like your little like
it's like
safe reset zone. Like I'm like, I need to take a second. I'm gonna go bus.
me and the bus.
You guys can't come in.
It's like Miss Fizzle's bus. Like
Yeah.
when I first started my podcast, I was like trying to get someone to make a Miss Fizzle's bus, but instead of Miss Fizzle, it would be me. And instead of her lizard, it would be Zeus.
Yes. I could just see it.
And then, tarot cards
both driving,
came out
like,
of the back as the gas.
Get on in.
Only way out is
This could
through.
still happen.
No, I know. I think about that often too. Oh, and this is what we were talking about before with the delusion and the realisticness thing. We were saying that realistic was delusional at one point to someone.
I'm also still starting to believe less in like delusional unless it's like, I don't even know. Like,
Right.
where's
like,
the limit?
Exactly.
I
mean, if you're like hurting someone,
totally cross over for other people listening, but like, I feel like you understand when I'm just like so against like not believing in shit being possible.
Yeah, like why are you like? It's just like, what does that do for you to be like, that's not realistic? Realistic to who?
And not to say that I don't still have these things where like, well, you're
I
being
do it
delusional, but I always question myself when I do that to myself. I'm always like, I get really curious about the moments where I'm like, why don't I think it's going to be okay? Or like, why don't I think I can go do this thing?
Yeah, like says who?
Like, I don't.
Right, like it's like Joe Dispenza always says 50% of our remembrance of like our stories is not even real. Like made up in a sense. So I'm like, all right, dude, I've been a storyteller apparently the fuck forever. So I just make up stories that like I like.
Yeah.
That's just better.
But it's also like.
But then you're delusional?
Well, see, there's the line. It's like, I would be like, well, Mar, what kind of stories are you like? What do you mean? Like, how far are we going here? Or it's like, because I know that like you're choosing your own reality and like you're calling that story making, but I don't think it is. Like, I think it's creating your own reality.
Well, yeah, and it's just like.
We're getting I'm not high at all.
Reef's like, Mar, you're not allowed to get high. I'm like, I don't ever get high. I feel like I'm never high. But then if you're high with me, people would be like, you get high. I'm like, whatever, dude. I don't think that I do. I wish I did.
I think because it just everything starts to break down. And I feel like what we're talking about with the child, like with child trauma or stuff like that. Like, I know in a sense what happened to me, but I also know that was my perception, my reality, my story. And now it's like, I know I still had that experience, that was my lived experience, but
yeah, like, did that really happen?
Necessarily what happened?
Exactly.
And do I need to keep reinforcing that that's what happened? Or can I let go and can I let...
Just make a new story.
Yeah. Or just start identifying with different
parts of that story. Yes,
story.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
The meme where it's like two delusional besties sitting there. Exactly.
Right. No, seriously though, I think that's what's important, because it's like we're nitpicking these really profound, upsetting moments.
Yes.
And then
identifying with them
putting
and
them
like
into our blueprints, but like we didn't have a choice back then.
Right.
Now we do.
Right.
And
like, okay, stop telling that story.
Right. And it happened. Feel it, experience it, grieve it, appreciate, whatever that little girl had to do to survive past that, and like be like, okay, we don't need to do that anymore though. Like, we're Now it's like I'll find myself responding like something terrible is happening, like I'm in fight or flight, when really it's not that bad. And it's just like I'm having just a really strong reaction or something like that. And now being able to release that stuff, I can be like, oh, I had a gut reaction to like pop off about this thing, but actually
that doesn't align with who I am now.
That's not.
Right.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah, like it does nothing for me.
And also, like, I see you, I get it. You don't need to do that anymore.
Right.
But, yeah, it's
true.
Wild.
That is true, too. Well, that's what I was thinking the one day. I'm like, okay, like, you know how you have, like, highlight reels on Instagram?
Yeah.
It's like, what are your, like, highlight reels?
Right.
And, like, are they actually highlights, or is it, like, a highlight of, like, this traumatic thing? Yeah,
to potentially give you that, like, excuse or whatever to not chase that thing or not do that thing because you have that highlight reel. And it's, like, it's also hard because that makes it sound like we're blaming. Like, you don't have a choice in having that highlight reel until you actually can zoom out and see what you're doing.
Right.
Because I didn't know.
Well, that's like, because sometimes you can use it as like, oh, I triumphed in a sense. Like, for me, like, I have a lot of like dad trauma.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with my dad. I love my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess like the younger version of me that was experiencing the trauma is like, feels like in a sense they were not ever like righted or something.
Yeah. Or like there wasn't accountability,
I guess. And so it's like, it's a weird thing because you're like, okay, well, what the fuck do you want me to do now? Like, we're here, we're good. Like, what do you want me to keep bringing it up now to him? And it's like, well, yeah, that's what she wants. And it's like she being the 11-year-old you, or the 12-year-old you, or however old you were. Well, after my hypnotherapy session yesterday, I was like thinking, like, I'm like, all right, what are like my stories? Like, I need to like sit down with my journal and be like, okay, like when I'm trying to explain myself to someone.
That's actually a really good idea. Like, to do that, to be like, this is my story that I've been telling myself. This is what I believe it means about me.
And like, I still take them as wins, like half the time, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, yeah, I was basically fucking Nancy Drew, and I was able to put all this shit together, and like, I knew all of these things that I didn't necessarily have like business knowing. And that's like a flex in a way, but at the same time, it's like, she probably didn't want to do that.
No, she wouldn't do that at all.
Like, she didn't want to know that. Yeah, no. Like, exactly.
Yeah, no, I relate completely. Like, I don't, just, knowing a lot of stuff that you don't want to know and then thinking it's your responsibility.
Right.
But I think it takes you out of being a kid.
Exactly.
And that sucks.
Yeah, but like, I never thought of it like that until more recently.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and then I like look around and I'm like, I'm a fucking giant child now.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's fine, but it's just like, it makes like the math acts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
see, but I feel like I didn't get much of one either, but it's like, but now I'm just learning now again, I feel like, how to be a kid. Like, through all of this healing stuff or whatever you want to call it, like, I'm appreciating the clouds again.
Oh, yeah.
In a way that I have not.
Like, for fun.
Since I was 5.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at them go. What the fuck?
Right. And it's
with everything.
With everything. It's more fun.
But it's like,
that's like Lily will call me and be like, there's a rainbow outside right now. I'm like, down the street. She'll like pull up. I'll be in the street like.
But it's so good.
Yeah, you know? And it's just like so for free. You can get hype.
Yeah, and I didn't get that. But like, stuff like that probably would have been like, this bitch isn't really excited. Like, shut the fuck up.
And it's like, sometimes you're not really excited.
But it's like,
but you can get excited and then your vibe isn't better.
And I am so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for it. I'm just like, oh
yeah,
my
you gotta
God.
like keep your child like wonder, I feel like.
It's sick. It is.
All right, well, Reef's giving us the wrap it up sign. So can you just link your handles And also just tell people that you're open for $1 million commissions
I am. I'm open for
and a husband.
$1 million commissions,
Mullets optional.
mullet, husbands. I'm for the mullets. She's not. And my handle for my painting account is just Lily J Brown. Lily J Brown.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Do you feel safer? I know, me too. High five.
I feel safe.
All right. We will see you on the next episode of the Just Saying podcast. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks, Reef.